So we finished a retreat. I guess was it last weekend? It's like a while ago. Not this week, but weekend past, but the weekend before. We had a 2-day retreat. I ran it Saturday, Sunday, and Monday morning. And we the retreat was on view, meditation, and conduct. And I wonder how people are doing now that they're out of retreat, but I'm surprised at the amount of work that we get done in a couple of days. It's a real chance to connect with the practice in a deeper way. It's a real chance to focus on the practice and just to put our attention onto the practice for 2 or 3 days. And in putting our intention there, our focus there, then we develop it and we lead our minds into those places of calm, concentration, and insight as well. So I'm always, can't say surprised anymore, but it's really interesting to see what we can touch, what we could connect with in a couple of days of practice. Um, with that in mind, with our busy schedules in this world that we live in, it's good to find time. It's good to find time, even if it's a morning. If you have a morning to yourself where you don't have to be anywhere or be doing anything, to give yourself a couple of hours in the morning or a few hours even to practice and to study, to practice and to read, to practice and do some yoga, to practice and just do things for yourself that help incorporate a healthy mind, a healthy spirit, a healthy body. Um, the more often we do that, the more often we do that, the deeper our practice becomes over time. So it's a good thing to keep in mind. The other thing to keep in mind with doing retreats is that sense of we spend a couple of days or a morning, just as just suggested, we spend a little bit of time and we connect with the practice. And even though after the retreat, after the morning, we're out in the world and there's busyness and we find ourselves reacting to situations and all of that, the states which we have developed, the insight which we have developed over time is still there, is still there. In the retreat, we talked about the development of view and then bringing that into our meditation practice. And I'll be talking about all of that more because I really think it's a really important foundation in our work. And it's the idea that we are gaining insight with our practice and we are developing a view from the profound Buddhist perspective. The view is emptiness and interdependence. And they're really saying the same thing, that there's nothing that we can look at that is not an aggregate of all of these factors that come together at any moment in time to create this present moment. So when we look at our experience like that and we look at it deeply, we see the emptiness factor. We see that there's nothing of real substance in the experience of the present moment. That's a lot of words right there, but it's important that we develop that view, or we understand that view of that there is nothing to cling to, because each moment is arising out of this open space. These factors come together and then they dissipate. When you walk out the door in the morning, when you walk out of this room, you are walking into a state, or you are part of a state of emptiness, if you will, because as you walk out of the room, then things form, right? Then you walk out of the room, somebody calls you. You walk out of the house, a car drives down the road, a bird chirps, a leaf falls. These are all these experiences that arise. They're coming from this vast spaciousness. If they were inherently existing, there would be no room for those things to happen. So we are constantly moving into the state of openness, whether we know it or not. We are constantly moving into the state of emptiness, whether we know it or not. We are constantly moving into this state. We are expressing this state of emptiness, of spaciousness, of insubstantiality. For the very next moment to arise, there has to be an openness there. So we contemplate that. We look at the impermanence. We look at the constant change, the constant expression. If there was always a car driving past your house when you stepped out of your house, that would be permanent. But there has to be the state of no car for the state of car to come and go. There has to be that empty space on the street for the car to appear and the car to disappear. There has to be that empty space in your mind for the thought to appear, the new thought, I hope, not the same old thought, but even the same old thought. There has to be that space for that to appear and then be gone. So we contemplate, we call this contemplating the view. And we meditate on this inner spaciousness, this inner openness. We contemplate this inner space. We contemplate how everything we look at is the result of a number of factors coming together to create the bathtub. You're having a bath. Look around you. Do those tiles on the wall, do they have a permanent existence? Are they actually tiles? Or are they just a combination of elements that have come together and we call tile? Because certain procedures have happened with the sand and with the glue and whatever else and the color to create this form. And the tile, you can knock on it, the tile is real, it repels the water, but it too is impermanent. So the view is looking at this impermanence, looking at this, the inherent emptiness that this impermanent points to, contemplating it. And when we sit in meditation, we bring that understanding to the meditation. When we do a retreat, we touch on these places where we are able to get a, perhaps, let me use the word, a deeper perspective, even if it's for a moment. How many of you have written to me after a retreat and say that your practice is going well and there is more access to calm, there's more availability to spaciousness, to quietness? We can call that view. You know that that is part of your experience now through the years of practice. You know that is an aspect of whatever it is you are, whatever it is we are. All of these experiences that we develop in meditation are pointing us towards a deeper understanding of what this actually is. So the reason why we practice in the morning, the reason why we grab these short retreats, the reason why we bring our practice into our daily life is so we can develop this view, this understanding, this discernment in a real way. It's not from a book. Books help, can help, but it's the practice. And it's in the moment bringing the insight and the discernment that you've developed both in your daily life and on the cushion. It's a development of that. There's something called the four magical powers, um, and they are intention, diligence, attention, and discernment. So the intention is really focus, is being focused on having an authentic practice, really moving towards your spiritual heart, whatever that is, moving towards your spiritual heart. So with intention, with focus, we bring that into our life. So as we move through the day, as we contemplate these ideas of view, meditation, and conduct, we keep this intention close, this focus close. We are moving to greater wisdom, greater awareness to the truth of ourselves, to the truth of our spiritual journey, having an authentic journey. Even if you're messed up, even we're all we're all a little bit crazy in our own way. But it doesn't mean that we can't have authentic intention. It's up to us to decide that. It's up to us to make that important. It's important. And the diligence is the energy, the exertion to move in that direction. And these teachings, these Dharma teachings, are meant as supports to guide us in those directions. So, intention, and then the diligence, the exertion to follow through, to do the work. And sometimes the work is glorious. We're sitting in states of deep concentration, and it's all very beautiful. and blissful. And sometimes the work is really not fun. It's like, oh, yeah, I remember these states of mind. Sometimes that's the work. But we have the diligence. We continue to apply contemplation of view. We continue to move in an ethical way through the world. We continue to do our meditation practice and to bring these factors together in our life. Diligence. And it's not the diligence of gritting your teeth, it's being connected with that spiritual intention that's inside us. Being connected with that spiritual intention and listening to us, listening to it. And that brings the diligence, doesn't it? Hopefully, by this stage, um, there are times where you get great joy in the direction that you're moving in. Great joy from your practice. Maybe you've had a glimmer of it, or maybe it's a little bit more than that. And maybe there's that place in you where it fills your heart. It just fills your heart. So the next one, we have the intention, we have the intention, we have the fire, we have the diligence, we have the burning of the fire. We have attention, keeping our attention, our concentration, developing a quality of mind that is relatively calm and concentrated so it can stay with the task at hand, so it can tend the fire. It can keep the fire burning, keep the fire lit. And the last one is discernment. Discernment is the wisdom factor, the quality of the aspect of mind that's investigating our experience. Back to the view. Looking at our experience, seeing the impermanence, seeing the underlying interdependence of all phenomena, seeing the mental states that cloud our perception, seeing the clinging, seeing that which separates us from the fire, seeing that which separates us from what it is that the heart really wants to do. Seeing that which separates us from our intention, from the intention of the heart. Seeing that which constantly pulls us away, those things. But when we connect with the first, the intention, and we are authentic about it, it's like, this is the direction I want to move in. But it requires effort, diligence, it requires attention, and it requires discernment. And those are the four magical powers. Because if you work with these four, it leads you. It leads you to a extraordinary, unexpected way of being. It's extraordinary because it is focused and concerned with the spiritual heart, not with the world. It's focused and concerned with our true nature, not all the gobbledygook we tend to identify with as self. It's extraordinary. It's magical because it leads us as we walk out the door, as we walk out of the room. There is this expression, this pure expression of energy that appears. Before we identify it as a form, it's the expression of clarity and emptiness that appears in any given moment. And when we truly meet whatever the moment is in this wide open way, then we begin to see the magic of it. Then we begin to see the extraordinariness of it, as opposed to seeing our perception, our projection, our mental state. We've connected with this deep intention, and then we give this deep intention a chance to open up and show us what's already here. So the retreat experience, the meditation experience, gives us a chance to develop and contemplate this openness of mind, this understanding of emptiness and spaciousness, in which all this magic appears. Ever notice with a really young child, when they're fed and they're in a good mood, everything that appears in front of them is like magic. They're just, anything they see is just, wow. because they're not overlaying anything on their experience.